Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. And we are in the midst of an international break. Not a lot of Chelsea news going on. We haven't played for a while. Next game coming up in the 1st of October. Thought we'd bring you some England-related content, and myself and George are going to be picking what we deem to be our best England 11s in our preferred formations, and then at the end as well, we'll also put our formations up in the 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, which Gareth Southgate is most likely to deploy in Qatar. So let's get right into it. I'm going to bring the screen up. I'm going to go through my team, and then we're going to obviously discuss it afterwards. And then George is going to do the same. So I know England normally set up with a back three, back five, but I'm going with a 4-3-3 for my preferred formation. This is what I think England's best 11 is with the players that they've got at their disposal at the moment. Now, in goal, we know Jordan Pickford is the preferred number one, but for me, it's a guy that I'm surprised doesn't really play more often, and that's Aaron Ramsdale. I think I have to be perfectly honest. I was rather, how can we say it, unpleasant, to put it mildly, when Arsenal signed him from Sheffield United after back-to-back relegations. But I have to say he's definitely proven me wrong. And I think he probably is England's best goalkeeper. I know Nick Pope's done very well at Newcastle as well this season. I think he actually starts against Italy in the Nations League tonight as well. But for me, I just think Ramsdale, he's playing really well at Arsenal. Arsenal had a great start to the season. He's a great young goalkeeper. He's commanding. He's a great shot stopper as well. I think he's much better than Jordan Pickford, if I'm being perfectly honest, right now. Pickford has been good in the past, but for me, Ramsdale gets the nod in the sticks. But Pope's not far behind him. But for me, out of those three, Ramsdale, Pope, and Pickford would be bottom of the pile as it currently stands. So I'm going Ramsdale in the sticks. In the two centre-back positions, then I'm going with England's best two centre-backs. And no, the fridge Harry Maguire is not in there. We've got John Stones at Manchester City and Tomori of AC Milan. These guys are by far, in all departments, England's best centre-backs by a country mile. It's not even up for discussion. Miles clear of Mings, miles clear of Maguire, clear of Eric Dyer, clear of who else we got? Conor Cody. It's not even a conversation. Stones, who, again, I've been not the biggest fan of in the past, but he has obviously shown his qualities. He's a top centre-half. And Tomori as well, which as Chelsea fans is hard to see because we let him go on the cheap, and he's doing phenomenally well at AC Milan, playing Champions League football, playing weekly in Serie A, and he's a top defender. So yeah, Stones and Tomori in the two centre-back positions for me. Moving to right back, then there's a plethora of right backs to choose from, but for me, if we're looking for a complete package, it's Reece James. And people might say, there's a slight Chelsea bias in there. Maybe, but at the end of the day, quality is quality, and whoever you support, Reece James is England's number one right back. He's ahead of Trippier and he's ahead of Trent. Trent's got good qualities, delivery, set pieces, maybe a little bit better than Reece James, but in terms of an overall package and defending as well, and particularly in my back four system, you need to be able to defend as well. And I'm sorry, Trent cannot defend. Gets caught napping, gets caught out of position, he sleeps, he's ball watching. For me, Reece James goes in there. Move to left back in the four then, and I'm going with another Chelsea defender, Ben Chilwell. Now, obviously, at the Euros, Chilwell didn't play a single minute. And again, Southgate doesn't tend to use him that much, but in my team, Chilwell's in. I think Luke Shaw had a very good Euros, but since then, he can't get in the United team. He's not playing well. Malacia, who came in from Feyenoord in the summer, is actually ahead of him in the United lineup at the moment. So for me, I'm going Ben Chilwell at left back. We move into midfield and holding midfield player, Rice baby. Declan Rice is going in that holding midfield position. For obvious reasons, really. Standout player, top player, can break the play up, can start the attacks. Massive fan of his, and he's by far England's best holding midfield player. He's clear of Calvin Phillips, who, to be perfectly honest, he's injured at the moment anyway, but he's barely getting a kick at Manchester City. So for me, he's just not in the team. We then move to what you would maybe describe as a two number 8 positions. And I'm going with someone who I think is destined for the very top of the game if he's not there already, and that's Jude Bellingham. Bellingham has got to be a mainstay of this midfield. Box-to-box player, 19 years of age, can score goals. He's good defensively as well. He just gets up and down the pitch. He does everything, basically. He's a complete midfield player, and England haven't got anyone like him in the team, in the squad. So for me, even at 19 years of age, not the most experienced at international level, he's got to be part of that midfield. So I've got Rice holding, Jude Bellingham as perhaps one of the number 8s there. Now, this is a position that's a little bit difficult because I think, oh, maybe I could put Mason Mount there, but I've been perfectly honest, in my best England team, Mount doesn't get in. If like, and as a Chelsea fan, that's me being honest. He's not playing well at the moment. I'm not sure if he's right for this England setup anyway. He's a good player to have in a squad and to come on, but I'm going Rice, Bellingham. This was a real tough one for me because I could play Foden as an 8 and maybe look at bringing James Maddison in, who I think could definitely do a bit of a role there as well. But yeah, for me, I'm rolling that dice. I'm going James Maddison alongside Bellingham. Now, I know you might think, this maybe lacks a bit of balance and whatnot in the midfield, but you've got Rice holding, Bellingham, who's a box-to-box, and Maddison, more of a creative midfield player. And I think it's criminal how someone, playing week in, week out for Leicester in the Premier League, puts up good numbers, scores goals, gets assists. He doesn't even get a look in the squad. And for me, Maddison probably goes in that position in my England team. Moving to that front three, obviously the centre forward picks itself. It's obvious, Harry Kane. There's not really too much to say about it. England's standout centre forward, goal scoring record second to none. The captain, the talisman of the side, he's obviously going to play. And Raheem Sterling as well, who since coming to Chelsea seems to have kicked on again, had a great start to the season. And his international form is great. He basically carried England to that Euros final in his backpack. He was phenomenal in the Euros, and he's been a standout player for England over the years. So those two are a no-brainer. This third slot on the right-hand side is tough because you've got options like Sancho, Rashford, Foden, Grealish, Saka. There's a lot of options there. I'm just really not sure. It's a toss-up for me, and I've probably gone with someone because I probably just prefer them a little bit more. They've just got something a little bit different. I've gone with Jack Grealish on that right-hand side. I know you can make shouts for Foden, you can make shouts for Sancho potentially, but I've just gone Grealish because I think he's just a little bit different to them all. He's got that X factor about him. The way he's someone that draws fouls. He creates opportunities for the side. He's great at carrying the ball. He's got a good pass on him. He's got assists. Yes, he could have more goals, but I just think there's something different about Jack Grealish, and I just think he could really push on. This could be a big tournament for him, the World Cup, providing he carries on, playing reasonably well for Man City. But that's really the toughest position on the pitch for me. I've gone Jack Grealish. I've gone 4-3-3 there. That's what I think is England's best lineup with the players available. That's what I'd go with if I was the manager. That's what I think the strongest available lineup is. George, any questions? I'm sure there's a few in there. I know you're not the biggest fan of Grealish. Any things you want to take issue with in that side?
I mean, it's your team.
No, but any discussion points there for yourself?
Look, I think what the only thing that you've done, and it's commendable, is that you are taking some risks. But I feel like you probably have to, because we've been through 2 tournaments with roughly the same system and personnel. And yes, we've made progress, but you probably feel other people deserve an opportunity, perhaps. And this Nations League is a fantastic opportunity to see that. But there's some interesting names, and you could argue unproven names in there. But then maybe that's what England are missing. Maybe we do go too safe at times with tried and tested. I mean, it's interesting, mate, and obviously it's good to have this on because we have got 2 different teams. My team is quite different for other reasons, but I mean, I like it. I was speaking to a mate of mine the other day, and I sometimes fear that England might have just missed the boat with the current set of players they have for that 2 tournaments, and I do expect to see new faces in this upcoming World Cup that we haven't seen before. So I hope, certainly some of those names on there, I hope they get the opportunity, because again, we have got some great players in there that have yet to show what they can do under the white 3 lines.
I mean, if I was going for a back 3, which is England's formation, it probably is going to be for the World Cup. What I'd do is I'd have to drop Maddison. I'd go Stones, Tomori, and Kyle Walker in the 3, and then I'd play Rice and Bellingham in the midfield, and I keep my front 3 the same. So that's what I'd go with. George, on to you, mate. Obviously, I'll just clear my team, but who are you going with in the sticks?
So I have changed
4-3-3 as
well.
well?
I've changed my formation slightly. I'm going to go 4-2-3-1, but they're not going to play that. But I mean, that's what I would go.
All right, mate. So what we got? Who we got in the sticks then?
I've gone for Pickford.
Pickford.
Yeah, I just think for the reasons that you say that a lot of those players in the top end carried England to the Euros and the World Cup, I feel like Pickford he still is the best shot stopper. If you think of the goalkeepers that we've got, 100%. Yes, he does have his moments that are a bit nervy, but you've got to look at his record. I mean, the clean sheets alone in the last tournament were impressive. And I also think from a penalties point of view, he's probably one of the best as well. I agree with you that he's form-wise probably not up there. You'd probably argue Pope, or I just feel with Ramsdale, I've yet to see enough from him in an Arsenal shirt to really say that he's England number one. I think that's pushing it a bit far. Yes, he's had a good start with Arsenal, and Arsenal have started well, but I think there's a long way to go for Ramsdale yet. I think Pickford as a choice for number one, I think it's risky to change your goalkeeper when there's clearly things working in this side where we're getting to advanced stages of tournaments. So I don't think that needs to change. I don't think he was the issue of why we've lost tournaments.
No, fair.
And then I've gone for exactly the same Stones and Tomori
Yeah.
at the back for the same reasons you think. I think both have got good pace, versatile. I like the fact that there's a risk in there with Tomori. Again, we haven't seen him in an English show much, but he started to embed in. I completely agree. I think Maguire's just done, mate. I think he's too slow. You could argue in a 5 he works quite well because winning that first ball, he's probably one of the best because of his physicality and his height. And obviously from set pieces going the other way, Maguire has been quite successful for England as well, scoring goals. But I think he's just, he's out of form.
Well, this is a thing, isn't it? Like it's all. We know Southgate's got his favourites, but ultimately, it looks like at the moment, Maguire between now and the World Cup is going to play hardly any minutes. He come on for 1 minute against Sheriff in the Europa League. Like the guy's not playing for Man United at the moment. It's a big gamble to take to head into a World Cup with Maguire, who's going to be massively undercooked.
Yeah, well, exactly that. Yeah. I mean, it would be classic England to just go with him anyway. Because
I'm fully prepared. It's going to be Maguire playing. Of course it is.
Yeah, but again, you probably couldn't argue with Maguire in a England shirt too much.
No, that's a fair point. But if you're looking at, you've got to pick players for the national side on form and how regularly they're playing. And Maguire not regularly playing, and he's not in form, so he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, I agree. He hasn't played enough football to warrant going. But I think, again, if you're the England manager and you're looking at the issues of trying to reach that next level to win a tournament, actually defensively wasn't the problem. We were very solid. Didn't concede many goals, and obviously we went all the way and lost on penalties. So I think it's more the top end where he's going to tweak it. But I'd expect a 5. I'd probably expect Maguire to play, but that was what I would go with. I'd go Stones and Tomori.
Yeah, fullbacks the same.
This is going to shock. This is going to shock you,
mate. You've gone Kyle Walker at right back.
Look, I've gone. I still think overall, Kyle Walker in an England shirt is the best.
Right, so you're going Walker.
You're not happy with that, are you?
No, that's not my team.
Look, James, incredible, and if he starts, he totally deserves it, totally warrants it. He probably is the best right back in England at the moment. There's no doubt about that. But what I'm saying is, for England, I think Walker has got the better overall package. I still trust Walker defensively than I do Reece James.
Yeah, that's fair.
Delivery's not as good, granted. But pace-wise, I think no one can match Walker in terms of recovery. I think Walker's one of the quickest in the game at right back. So I think he wins there. And I agree with your Trent comments. I just think defensively, he's a bit of a liability. So I think Trent's actually bottom of that list.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But it's a toss-up. And like you said, mate, if it's a 5, then you obviously shift Walker into the centre 3, and then you can play James. So I would like to fit in both. But
left back? You've gone Trippier, haven't you? Are you Southgate in disguise?
Look, but again, I've gone.
Mate, he's not even a left back.
Sorry, but I think he's done incredibly well at Newcastle. I think Shaw's nowhere near. So
Shaw's done.
And for me, I think if you're going to take that argument with Maguire, I think you have to take with Chilwell. Chilwell's come back from a long injury. Is he fully fit? Yeah, yes, he could be towards the World Cup. But I haven't seen enough of him in an England shirt to say he's the go-to left back. Trippier, again, outstanding when it comes to actual tournaments. We saw the goals, like free kicks, he's deadly. Set pieces, he's deadly. you need that in a team sometimes, because when it's tournament football and you get very few chances, who do you want on a free kick 25 yards out? Who do you want on a vital set piece? I don't want Ben Chilwell. I want Kieran Trippier, and I think Trippier's a good defender. I know he's not left-footed. I know that's a bit of a risk, but I thought he actually did quite well there. Yes, Ben Chilwell ideally probably in his, let's say, prime Thomas Tuchel Champions League final form, but at the moment,
are you still playing Trippier in a 5 at left wing back?
Probably not.
No, so you play Chilwell in a 5.
Yeah, I'd play Chilwell in a 5, but again, at the moment, because I'm going with 4. Look, mate, this is a hard one. I've gone for probably tried and tested. And I just think set pieces. I think again he's warranted it in tournament football to warrant a position, but I can, that's my opinion.
Midfield, are you sticking with Bellingham and Rice for me in that too, or are you not?
I've got Rice definitely in the 2. Rice, he's been incredible, and I think he's got that good balance between in the transitions between pushing forward and offering something going forward with his legs, and obviously at the back. But mate, I've gone for someone in form at the moment, and I'm sorry people are wrong about this guy, but I think Eric Dyer's been top draw.
Dyer in midfield?
I think so.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Look, I looked through the midfield list just before I came on, and you had.
You don't think that's way too? You don't think that's way too defensive though in a midfield too? That's like safety first. That's like stabilizes on.
It is, but I think that's what England do, don't they?
Is that what you do as well?
I still think you've got 4 attacking players in there, plus the wing backs. I think you've got enough quality in there. Look, it is a bit safe. There's not a lot of creation in there, but I expect Rice to be that player who's more of a number 8, and then Dyer to kind of, when we're out of possession, to kind of sit in that hole. And again, if you're going with a 5 at the back, I could put Dyer in there, and you could play Dyer, Stones, Walker, James, and Chilwell. And again, for the same reason, I think Tomori, despite being very promising, you'd probably say we haven't seen enough yet. But mate, Dyer's been incredible for Spurs since he's...
Yeah, but not in midfield, he hasn't.
No, maybe not, but it's a gamble, but I think...
No, fair.
I couldn't... The thing is, I just couldn't warrant... the only one I had on my list when I was playing a 4-3-3 was Bellingham as well.
Yeah.
But then Bellingham and Rice, is that...
That's sourcing Bellingham and Rice. It's England's 2 best midfield players.
Agreed.
Yeah. But also agreed that you don't always the best 2 players doesn't always make the best team. If that makes sense. But,
and
so I do get that point.
I couldn't justify Ward-Prowse starting. I couldn't justify some of the others. So I think again Bellingham's a better player, being youngster and with legs to come in and change it. I don't think you could change it with Dyer unless you're going defensively and holding a lead. But yeah, I'll go with that.
So obviously, we know that Sterling and Kane are going to both be the same. Doesn't need much explanation. So who are you playing in that number 10 role then?
I'm playing. What have I gone for? Hold on.
Well, you got Foden in there.
Shit, what have I done here?
You got Mace.
Rice, Dyer. No, I think I've gone
Foden.
Foden. Yeah, Foden.
Yeah, Foden in the 10, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got more freedom there to just do what he wants.
And the right-hand side, which is probably the toughest one to pick on the pitch because you've got so many options.
Oh, mate, yeah, it was so hard. I was looking through it.
Because as I say, you got Grealish, Saka, Sancho, Rashford. There's 4 to pick from.
Yeah, for me, Sancho and Rashford just haven't done it enough.
No, fair.
I get your Grealish argument, but I'm not a Grealish fan for obvious reasons.
But then Saka's not really done anything in an England shirt either. That's
the
thing.
I probably just go Grealish just because. I can't believe I'm saying that because I actually hate Grealish. But I think I'd go with Grealish just because if you think of the amount of fouls he buys.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean,
it's just something a bit different.
I think people struggle against him. I think international oppositions do struggle to find out what he is. And I just think for that reason where he's quite good at getting to the bar line. and quite good at getting fouls. I think that's quite beneficial for if you're holding a lead to just kill off the game. And it's also good to get us into those positions which is why the reasons I've picked Trippier and players like that who can then take advantage of those set pieces. Yeah, I mean, look, there's questions. I think it's so much easier to name the team a couple of years ago. I think it's harder now. I think he's going to probably play a 5 anyway, so we'll probably
he will play a 5. So in the 5, then, as you said, you drop Walker in as a third centre back with Stones and Tomori. Play James. You'd play Chilwell instead of Trippier. You'd keep that midfield 2 the same. And
I would do. Oh, sorry, for the 5. No, for the 5, I would have done Stones, Dyer, Walker.
Yeah, and then you got Chilwell and James.
Yeah, and then I would
Dyer and Rice in midfield still.
No, because Dyer's at the back, man.
Oh, you gone Bellingham in midfield.
Bellingham in midfield with Rice, and then the same at the top.
No, you've got to lose one at the top.
Oh, sorry. Then I'd lose Grealish, and I'd have Sterling left, Foden right,
shift Foden out to the right. Fair. Yeah. Oh, certainly interesting. We'll have to see how much changes between now and the World Cup. I'm sure we'll do it again before the World Cup starts. But yeah, it's just myself and George's England teams, the ones that we think is the best England 11 at the moment right now. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to be as brutal as you want to be. There's some few questionable ones in there, certainly. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you smash the likes on the video. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well.